Hi everyone, welcome to the Monday 6:30 session on a holiday day. Um, I wanted to share on how to build a high-performing team as one of the topics for today, because one of the crucial things that we all do on a day-to-day basis is work with team members and make sure that the environment that we are working is quite healthy and we can prepare a team that works towards the vision and the strategy of a company. And that is one of the most crucial point for any business's success. So a bit introduction about myself. I am Sneha Bedi. I am a director of a company called GSB Global, and I've primarily worked in various sectors within the digital industry. So I was born and bred in India, a beautiful city called Chandigarh. And then in 2008, I went to pursue my master's in London from the University of Westminster. And I did media management. And my distinction was in digital transformation. And my dissertation and the topic of interest that I chose was digital transformation. And that is what when the overall e-commerce shops and everything else in online was boosting. So that is what I worked on. And as and when I started, my career became primarily focused on working with lead brands on their digital transformation, building their products, and then going on towards data and innovation as and when the market grew and what the demand was. So I started feeding into those points, and I've worked with financial institutions, telecommunications, and various charities across the globe to make sure that their digital journeys are sleek enough and makes it easier for consumers to do whatever the company wants them to do, which is either giving them the operational benefits or solving a problem for their customers. Outside of work, I love mentoring. I've worked with a lot of charities on mentoring young girls, especially around diversity and inclusion and finding voice. And I do a lot for innovation for good as well. I'm a governor at the NHS Trust London, Royal Free Hospital. And we look after how innovation can help better things and how can it make life of patients quite easy, which would be online kiosks and stuff. And I also sit on their advisory board, which is finance and compliance. My mantra after working for so many years in digital has been that every problem has a solution. And the first instance shouldn't be no, it should be okay, we have a problem. How do we solve it? And what the options are so that we can choose the best option in life as well as at work. So that is about me. In today's session, what we're going to cover is a brief introduction, which I've already given about myself, key learnings on how to build a high-performing team, what are the key learnings that I have learned over the past 10 to 15 years and how the team done and how I've made those taken those conscious steps to ensure that my team or the company that I'm working for, their vision and their strategy is well met. It'll be followed by question and answers. And then if we have any other business, we'll cover that off as well. So building a high-performing team, the first and the foremost step in building a high-performing team is to getting to know your team. As we all, whenever we become managers, senior managers, or directors in a firm, we never get to choose what team are going to be we working with, whether it is going to be, we never get to build our team from scratch. We inherit people, we inherit some of the work that we get to do. So how to make that situation really work for yourself, because these are the people who you've never met, you've not chosen them, you've just inherited them. And some of the key members might be your competitors as well, because when you would have applied for the managers or the senior manager or director level role, they might have applied as well. So within those conflicting interests and within those so many dynamics within the team, how do you work well together? So the first and foremost thing is to getting to know your team. It is quite essential and pivotal to know what strengths your team has and what each of the member is built of. So I still remember when, in I think ages ago, one of my managers, he told me that, look, the best thing is to focus on the strengths of the team because that is going to take you further. Weaknesses are something that can't be tackled immediately, so that can be parked. But strengths is something that we can work on and leverage on. So that is an asset. So there are a couple of what you call online tests that we did, and one of the key ones is Strength Finders and Myers Briggs, which I've used, which just helps you know what the key strengths of your team are. And also Myers Briggs tells you about what the personality type of your team is. These are just few suggestions that we've used. And how these have come in handy is that it tells us whether somebody in your team is more analytical. They like to dig deep into a problem. They want to understand step by step as to how a problem can be solved, and they have enormous attention to detail. And some team members' strength might be that they are account managers and their stakeholder engagement is to the top. So they really work well as account managers, and they take their team quite what do you call, they take their word quite seriously, and they are quite engaging, and they are really good at interacting with the wider team and also making sure that they are extroverts. So in those kind of environments, when you've seen the strengths of, like for example, analytical, as well as somebody who is a bit more, who has excellent stakeholder management, so you can devise what kind of products or projects that they would want to work on. Somebody who's analytical would want to love on detailed a detailed project work, which would require which would require them to put their heads down and just go through stuff one by one and work it out clearly. And if there's the strength, they recognize it as well. So communicating that with them and agreeing on a project that is of their interest and suits their strengths really work well. And somebody who's really good at engagement and sales, something like an account manager's role or something that requires speaking with wider stakeholders, is quite crucial as well to give them that. So playing on their strengths rather than giving somebody who's quite analytical and would want to just put their head down and get through stuff, something more what you call, which requires a lot of stakeholder management skills. So it's just finding the right skill and matching it up with the project or the product that you want them to get delivered. The next thing is communication style, which is equally important in building a team. Some people are visual thinkers and they think on their feet. If you tell them something in a meeting, they'll quickly get it and they'll be like, yeah, I get it. And yeah, it makes complete sense. Whereas there will be few people within your team who would want to read things through, and they like to formulate their response very articulately, and they want to say, this is what I think, these are the pros, these are the cons, and they would require time. So you would have some who would just think on their feet and they would give responses there and then, and there would be some who would require time. So it's always quite key to understand the mix that the team has so that it's quite clear how to balance it out and also engage with the team in that manner. And that helps create a really good team dynamics because you've catered to all the needs of your team members with regards to knowing their strengths, knowing what style of communication they present and expect from their manager, and how to cater that back to them. And that kind of helps in building a really good team dynamics as well, because then they all know about what each of their strengths are and how they are contributing towards the team. And also within team dynamics, it is quite important to have a team charter, which I usually tend to create whenever I've become a manager. I've inherited a team that I would have to manage. It's just to know what the team wants and what the behaviors that these teams should follow. For example, everyone is nothing is wrong, no question is stupid, everybody wants to be heard, everybody's opinion matter. If there's a conflict, resolve it immediately, eminently. So when the team charter is built, it's being built as a team together. So everybody has approved and signed to that team charter. So that really helps define the team dynamics as well, because everybody is bought into what your team's culture needs to be. That just helps to make the team communicate better, work effectively together, because at the end of the day, they have they all are now aware of each of their strengths, what the preferred communication style with each of the member is, and how the team dynamics are, and what they all have agreed as a charter, as a team charter, is with regards to what behaviors as a team we should follow. So these are the few things which have been quite crucial for me in order to mm, start my any managerial role, is to getting to know your team and what their strengths and their communication style is, so that we can communicate effectively and we can deliver whatever the team's strategy and vision is. Leading on to strategy and vision, that is the main next point. Over the years, what I've seen is that you are a good manager only if you're giving a clear vision and also clear business goals as to why we are doing it, what we are doing, and what the purpose for each of the items that we have. So it is quite important that the business vision is communicated crystal clearly to your team and is cascaded down as to what the business stands for, what is the short term and the long term vision, what does it wants to achieve, as well as what are the key pain points that the business wants to resolve at the same time, so that everybody is aware of which direction the business is going. And underpinning the vision is going to be the team strategy as well, which is very, very crucial and important part, because it underpins the strategy as to why, it underpins the vision as to why we are building what we are building, what is the need of doing a certain piece of project, why all the efforts of our team are going to be directed towards a certain product, project, or a certain operational stream of work that we've picked up. It is quite crucial to have that strategy, understanding of it, because that helps define what is the strategy and how clearly you as a team are trying to achieve it, and how does it contributes to the bigger picture as well. So once the strategy is defined, it is the business goal and the value add. It is important to know what the priorities are that underpins the strategy. For example, if you are a leader, a director of customer service, you might want your priority might be number one for service, make sure that NPS is of a certain range, net promoter score is increasing, calls to the call centers are decreasing. So you've got a few priorities set up. And underneath that, you have various projects or deliverables that are aligned to that. And there is a value add. None of the team members whom I have worked with would want to work on something that doesn't aligns with the bigger vision or strategy, because then they've asked me numerous times, but why am I doing what I'm doing? So by defining the vision strategy and giving a clear priority as to why they're doing a project and what value their work is adding, just makes it so easier to have that conversation with them, and the team in itself feels quite confident, because when a director or a CEO is laying out the vision, they exactly know what value add their deliverables projects is adding to, and what vision are they trying to achieve. So it gives them a sense of accomplishment, and that they're contributing to the business and they're working on something which is valuable. So these are the few things um, that just makes team members really, really satisfied that we know what our vision is, we know what our priorities are, and I'm working on A, B, and C to meet this. And it also helps to re-engage or reassign any of the resources or any of the conflicting points that might come up in the near future. So these things just are eminently useful. And also, it is really important to involve the team in building the strategy. If you go in and tell your team this is what you need to work on, that would never ever work, because they would feel that they are being told what to do, and you might not get 100% buy-in. So whilst creating a strategy, include them, involve them, make sure that they are the part of the process in defining the strategy, so that there is a clear ownership, and this is something that they have helped you define and they have a stake in it, because it is not a strategy just given to them, it is a strategy that they have built, keeping in line company's vision, and that is what the direction of the team is, so that you've got a complete buy-in from the team from the very beginning, and it's not your strategy, it's a team strategy, and it is theirs as much as yours, and then they are more accountable and responsible for contributing towards that strategy. So that leads me on to the point of empowering your team. Once we have a sound strategy, which all the team has contributed towards, and they have partial ownership of it, it is really, really important to make sure that the team also has the authority to deliver it as well, because responsibility without authority is of no use. We all have been there, where we've got a project to deliver but we can't make decisions. So it is really important that if a responsibility or a deliverable is given, or if a project is given to be delivered to a team member, or one of your team is delivering it, they have the power to make the decision. And it is, as a manager, it is your responsibility to empower them. You have to be there as a point of escalation to make sure if something goes wrong or if they need your help, you are there to help them, and you help resolve issues. But at the first instance, trusting them and uh, giving them the confidence that they are allowed to make the decisions, and it is their responsibility to make the decisions. They can cross check with you if they are in doubt, but it is their project, and they have the decision making power. At the same time, when they have the decision making power, they also have the responsibility and the accountability of delivering what they have agreed to. Sometimes what I have seen in past is, a lot many times it is like, oh, this is my piece of work, but I didn't know I had to engage with other teams as well to get it delivered. But because it is their piece of work, they have the right decision making power. It's really important for them to know their roles and responsibilities as well. If they are being given the authority, they're also being given the responsibility to deliver the uh, project or the product within the given time scales, within the given budget, as well as escalating where possible what the blockers are and giving regular comms. And it is their responsibility to deliver it. That is quite crucial, because you end up, you as a manager then are empowering them. It's their project, and you are there as a support mechanism to make sure that the work is being done and it is their piece of work. So that just makes the team's life so much easier, because they feel empowered. At the same time, they know that if they need help, their manager is there as a point of escalation, and it is their responsibility to deliver it. But should they need support, they have your manager's backing on it. So these three things are quite crucial. And again, authority, I think, is really, really important, just to empowering them to make the decision. At the same time, making sure as well that they are responsible and accountable as well. It's not that, oh, somebody else would do it. It is their owners. The project success depends on them, and they need to deliver it, and you're there to support them. So that is another very important point to build a very successful team. Be crystal clear, be as supportive as possible, give them the power to make the decisions, have clear roles and responsibilities defined so that you can track them as well and make sure that the team is working towards it. And it makes the comms quite easy as well once the roles and responsibilities are defined. The communication that as a manager you're having with your team becomes very easy because it's very driven and it's not very willy-nilly. It is like, yeah, this is my responsibility, this is my role, this is how I'm doing it, I have the power to do this, and I've also got you to help me uh, make any decisions if I need to, and if I need any escalations, we're there to support. Once that element is done, it is quite important to maintain the growth of the team members as well. In the businesses that I've worked for so many years, I have seen most of the people, they want to grow, and the first step of growth is everybody wants to be a manager. If you're managing a team of 25 people and you've got one-to-ones or skip levels with them, if you ever speak to them, they'll be like, I want to be a manager, I want to be a manager in 2 years time. And it is highly impossible for anyone, any senior manager or any leader, to make 25 people managers by next 2 years if that's the team, that's if that's their personal development plan. So it is quite important to ask your team members to have a personal development plan. It is their plan as to define where they see themselves, whether they see them as a manager, whether they see themselves as a product specialist, or whether they see themselves moving into a specialist area where they are growing, but they don't want to manage teams. They just want to be an expert and they want to be known as an expert in the industry. So help them jot that out 2 to 3 years, or sometimes people just don't think 2 to 3 years. It's just that what, apart from the work, what else you would want to learn? Would you want to go on a course? Would you want to focus on something that you've not done before? Or there's some value add that you need that would help you do your current job better? What those are. So having a personal development program just helps the growth of the individual in your team. But one thing as a manager, I'm very, very mindful of is it's not my personal development plan. I play a support role. It is the individual and the team member's responsibility to drive it. It is their plan. And my responsibility is to give them the to opportunities as and when they arrive. For example, if somebody thinks that they are really, really good at communication and they would want to speak up at events and they would want to demonstrate about their project. So I will find them the opportunity either by creating a brown bag session for them, or giving them the opportunity to speak in a huddle, or try and figure out where the team sessions are happening so that they can share their product knowledge. So my responsibility is to support them, but it's their individual responsibility to drive it. It's not my responsibility to make everybody a manager. It is their responsibility to find that opportunity, and myself as a manager would support them get there. So that is a clear distinction, and it needs to be made quite clear with the team members as well as colleagues that they are on the driving seat, not you. And then following to that is training and development, which is equally important to build a high performing team, because within the time when you've worked with the team, you would identify gaps. For example, where I've seen when I've inherited a team, I inherited a team of project managers, but it was a product team. None of the team members within that team knew about how to build a product, what a product vision is, what's the first step of building a product. And for me to train them individually was very hard. They were exceptional resources, but new to product. But within the reorg that happened, they all were pushed into a product team because product was suddenly a key function that every business should have had. So it's just understanding that, okay, this is a gap within the team. They are exceptional, talented people, but how do I make them grow within the product role? And then a few steps that I took was made sure that they all attended product management courses, and depending on the seniority, some attended product owner courses, some attended product manager courses, some did a lot of strategy courses, just so that they know, rather than just putting product timelines and delivering project deliverables, they were also aware of how to build a strategy, how to build a product vision as well. So identifying that is quite key. And also that helps them grow as well, because they feel confident, they have been certified and they know stuff, and that's how you build on it. And sometimes team would want to do certain professional courses as well, like with machine learning and AI becoming quite key, they would come up to you and say that, okay, for me to do my job better, I need to understand this, because I'm speaking to data scientists every day, but I don't think I have the right knowledge and I'm not understanding what they are speaking. So it's just finding that, okay, this is a valid reason. You interact with them on a daily basis. How do we help you make you assess the right resources so that you can have a proper communication on day-to-day basis with the other team members? So these are the few things that just help within the growth of the team as well as the individual members as well. And once they have it, it's just easier because they don't feel bored. They feel a sense of growth. They don't feel stagnated, and it gives you the opportunity as well, rather than them saying that, oh, I didn't get the promotion. It gives you the opportunity to have that conversation as well, that it was aligned with your personal development plan. These are the opportunities I'm providing. If you're not getting the role within the company, within the team, there are other teams that are hiring as well. That skill set might map here and there. And how do you grow? So I think those things just make a manager's life easier. And also, you give a tool to the team so that they feel so um, they feel so engaged, and they feel that there is somebody who is there to support them and is invested in their growth. And when you have that conversation, it just the engagement level within the teams are so different, because it's not them, have you delivered this, have you delivered that. It's more about, how do you want to grow, how can I help, but I'm not going to drive it. Tell me what you need. And if there are opportunities that I can help you with, I will. But that is on your plate to drive it. So these are the few things that keeps the growth element within the team addressed. And I can't tell you how important it is to be genuinely interested in the growth of your team members, because once they see that you have a vested interest, they have a vested interest in the team as well. So it is just a pivotal point, which I've always found being very successful when building an engaging and a super performing team. Following on from that is, how are you as an individual, as a manager, as a senior manager, or as a director who's taken over either a business unit or a team? It is my responsibility to make sure that there is clear and precise direction. It is good to have a vision and a strategy, but it is also equally important to have a direction, which sometimes is exactly the vision, but at the same time is broken down into simplistic forms or top three, so that vision would cover a long term, but the direction, imminent direction, is also given by you as a leader. As these are the three things that we're focusing on this year. These are the initiatives that are underpinning that direction, and these people are working on it. That just helps as a leader, having that giving that information helps build that trust within the team members as well as within the entire department, just because you've clearly articulated where the business is going, where the department is going, what the key priorities are, what three key priorities that you want to achieve, and this is the direction it is, so that the entire unit, the entire team, the entire department speaks the same language and it's aligned and clear. And it also helps when you are managing two different teams, or you've got four different units that you're working with, whether it is, for example, within, if you are director in digital, you'll have an e-commerce department, you'll have a self-service department, you'll have an analytics department. So all three departments are something that you are responsible for. So what is the direction that as a unit you're taking, as well as what are the deliverables, so that all the three departments can work, all the three units that you're responsible for can work really well together. And it also helps any conflict within the teams as well to resolve it, because then it's quite easier. This is the direction, these are the top three things we are doing, these are the priorities. So that just helps, makes the prioritizations easier as well. Then it is clear communication. Again, as a leader, it is quite important to be very precise, very clear, very transparent, as well as very positive. When I say positive, I don't mean camouflage the truth and say something, it's tell that the situation is not bad. It's just that how do we land the message, and how do we make sure that the team's morale is being boosted, they feel that the comms that are being sent out are transparent, and also they are engaged at equal levels. I have had various in my various jobs that I've done and my various roles that I've done, I have always found that when a director or a MD or COO has clear communication and interacts with the teams on a regular basis, whether it's in a format of a bi-weekly huddle, or whether it's sending a monthly newsletter out, or having skip levels, and also making sure that whatever business strategy or business decisions or any change in priorities as a business that are happening are cascaded down to the level bottom. So it's a upward to downward chain communication, quite crystal clear in articulating why something has changed and what the reasons are. So that just helps you build trust, and also how they are involved in building that as well. So it is quite crucial to have a clear communication, and also engaging not just with your level below, but to engaging top down, and to make sure that you're having the right channels of communication open, whether it's a skip level, whether it's weekly meetings, or whether it is just making sure that you are present in the office, you are giving the right update where need be. If somebody has messaged you for a solution, if you can't solve it because that's not what your job is, you direct them to the right people. So that is quite pivotal, having a clear comm style and being effective, so that people know that why things have changed, what things have worked, why they haven't worked, and they know that you're transparent and you'll be clear. And that leads to building a great team as well, because it just makes sure that people know, are aware of what the drivers of you as an individual are as well as it makes them more confident in their role, because they understand what things are happening around. And finally and foremostly is the team culture. It is, over the years I've realized, is that building a team also requires interacting with your team, not just about work, but stuff outside of work as well. It is quite crucial to have team away days, team building exercises, for your teams to spend just a day out, even in a quarter, to just put their heads down and see what how their other team members are doing, what they are working on, what's good, what's not bad, and why certain things are not working. That team, the knowledge share is very, very important within to build a team culture. It is also important that within the team, everybody's heard. They know that if there is something that's going to go wrong, they have somebody who they can approach and ask for the problem. Everybody's opinion matter. It might be of whatever, it might be apt at that time, it might not be apt at that given time. Not being dismissive, forthright, oh, that doesn't make sense, but saying, yeah, for this reason, right now, I might not use that approach because of this, and this. So I think it's quite important to have a team culture where you engage with the team in a way that they feel heard, they feel that they feel that they can put their opinions forward, and also spending time with their team on a whole day, whether it's uh, putting a strategy together, or it's a team away day, or it's just a day where as a team you spend time learning something new or doing something new. It could be as simple as having a charity day, just so that as a team, not just doing work stuff, you bond as a team outside of outside of the working environment as well. It's not it's not something like going for drinks or something, which can be done on individual basis, but it's more like a team building stuff that you do together as a team. You spend time together, so that is quite crucial as well. And team culture is quite important to be inculcated, just because that is how you would want to be known as a leader as well, because you would want everybody to be felt respected, everybody to know that what they are working towards, as well as that they will be heard. And if something has been not adopted, or their suggestion has not been adopted, there is a reason for that, and it's quite articulately said through. So I think these are the things that just helps um, build a really, really strong team. And the top 5 things, which I've always said: get to know your team, know what their strengths and weaknesses are, give them a clear vision as to what they are doing, what value add they're bringing to the business, so that they feel that the work they're doing is contributing to the bigger picture. The third one is empower them, trust them, be there as a point of escalation if need be. Also help them in their personal growth as well. You're not the driver, but show them that you have an interest in their growth, and that will make them feel that they have somebody helping them grow, and that would lead to building a better team at the first instance itself. And finally, as a leader, make sure that you're transparent, you're giving them the right direction, and the team culture that you set out is very open and honest, so that everybody at work, and when they come to work, want to come to work. So these are the top 5 things that I have personally used over the years to build super performing teams. To be fair, some of the times even I've struggled, but as I said, every problem has a solution. So as and when a situation is arrived which is hard to find, I have referred back to these points and tried to think, how can I resolve conflict? How can I make that team member perform better? So that's from me for now. If there are any questions, I think I would take them. So let me quickly check. Let me check. Sorry. I'm just going to check if there are any questions. I'm just trying to open the panel. Just give me 2 minutes. Okay, I will give me 1 second. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and try and open the chat where all the questions are. Give me 1 second. Okay, so the questions that I've got are how to motivate a team member who's slacking. I think I we all have been in places where we've got some underperforming team members, and how do we tackle that? Eh, I tend to believe that nobody's here to do a bad job, or nobody come to us and say, "Oh, today I'm going to do a very bad job." What they what they in the conversations that I've usually had, either there is something that's not going right in their personal life that is impacting their work, or either they're working on a project that doesn't suit their skill set, or they have done some work repetitively, or they're finding it really hard to work with an external member of the team. So the first thing that I always do is speak to speak to the team. I speak to them on a one-to-one basis and try and understand what the reason is, and try and support them as much as possible in the first instance. The second thing that I do is clear responsibilities with deliverables and timelines that they need to meet, so that it's a conversation that can be had quite easily on the regular intervals, and it can be your touch point on regular basis. This is what we agreed as a team. I'm supporting you grow. These are the things we've agreed to deliver. How are you on it? Do you have any problems? So that it's more action oriented, and they don't have an to opportunity to miss it, because they are now accountable as well, and it's their responsibilities making sure that when they are slacking, you try and understand what the reason is, and following on from that, giving them clear deliverables with timelines, so that you can track them. And the conversation is not about, oh, you're not performing. It's more about, we agreed between as a team that you are delivering this between you and I. Where are you with it? Do you have some kind of a problem delivering it? And that becomes quite fact based. And worst case scenario, if you have to have a conversation to either have a performance conversation, that is also very fact based. So I think the first thing is to always speak them, because in more cases or not, they are struggling for some reason or the other. Try to avoid that struggle. And if still that doesn't happen, make sure that they have got deliverables with timelines, so that the conversation that you're having with them is fact based, not woolly. And they are equally accountable for delivering it. Then, how to build a better relationship with your boss. Very interesting questions, and it has very different approaches to it. I think the first and foremost thing is building trust and also helping them out or helping them solve their biggest problems. When they see that you are interested in solving a problem which is so crucial for them and the business, and they need help doing that, and which is their number one priority, even coming up with small suggestions. I read, for example, somebody's a director is going through um, a new director has joined in. So you can introduce themselves, you can tell them about the projects that you're doing. That helps you build that relationship if the boss is new and you want to start off, so that they know that you're adding value to the business, you have an interest in the business goal, and you also want to solve one of their biggest problems or want to contribute to the growth of the department. That is quite crucial, that they know that you have uh, you are just wanting to do something bigger, and you will do your best. And then it also helps, I think, more often than not, people don't tend to shout about the good work that they do, and they don't raise their profile. And when I initially started my career, I did some of the same things. And what I tend to do is make sure that the snippets of the work that I'm doing, what value they are bringing in terms of revenue, in terms of operational efficiencies, in terms of what you call it, building a better team culture, because people, money, and team culture is very important. Sorry, I'm looking on my phone just because I'm reading some of the questions from here. So that is quite important. So I think those are the few things, if you work with, that would just help you build better relationship. They know what you're working on, you know what they're working on. And also when others within the business speak well about you. So it's not just your boss, but also you've got a very good relationship with the teams that you work on regular basis, and they show trust in you. That eventually leads for your manager to build trust in you as well. The next question is, how do you analyze the emotional satisfaction of the team members? I think having one to ones are quite key. And personally, initially, when I started my career, one to ones were just, this is the project, this is what you're doing, rah, 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 where can I help, point of escalation. But very soon, I realized that when you have one to ones, it needs to be half and half. It needs to be talking about projects briefly, because you would have covered them off in your team meetings as well, but also speaking to them about how they are, how they're feeling within the business. Are there any problems that they are facing? What kind of what kind of um, what kind of issues, if there are any, and in general, how is their well-being? I think when those kind of questions are asked, then that just helps. And it's not just one off. They know quite clearly that their one to one is half catered to work, and the other half is how they are doing, what problems they are facing. It could be something which is in their personal life, which personally I tend to be aware of, but I don't indulge too much in it. But they should have a space to share if somebody's, for example, there's been a bereavement in the family, and they're quite, what do you call, they're quite depressed with it. So you're making sure that within the company, if you have mindfulness sessions or something, you are making sure that they attend it, or you are just asking for a coach to help them. So it's just few things, having that open forum on a bi-weekly or a monthly basis, where you're not talking about work, but you're also talking about their personal development plan and how they feel. It's quite important. So I think that has worked really well for me, because one-to-one, it's not just about work, it's about their personal development plan, it's about if they need help on certain places. The next question is, how do you decide someone is right for your team during hiring stage since everyone is on their best behavior? Ah, very good question. And to be fair, it it is a learning process. Initially, when I started my career, I inherited the teams most of the time, and I had the opportunity to what you call hire a couple of new joinees. And trust me or not, they are at their best behaviors. I completely agree. But I always try to stage the interviews in two stages. A is obviously the HR pre-screen, the HR guy speaks with them. The second stage is I interview them, but also the third stage is present them a problem there and then to solve it. And I also talk a lot about people and culture. So that is quite important. And they are the few things, because some of the times when I've seen is a CV is great, but that the person whom you're interviewing doesn't match the CV as well. So, and sometimes they are so articulate in saying what they are, but they might not be substance underneath it. So, how do you recognize that as well? It's a learning process. But B, the tips and tricks that I've used is I always divide it into two stages. There is definitely what you call a presentation, a problem there and then to see how they think, what their thinking mechanism is. And it's not repeated every time. It's a new presentation. It's an onus for me that I have to put in a lot of effort. So but I always make sure that it's there, because that gives me an opportunity to gauge them there and then. And I also make sure that there are two people interviewing with me. There's another person interviewing with me. And for both the sessions, I have a different person interviewing with me, so that it's not my opinion, it's other three's opinion as well. Just because I might spot certain things which they are my strengths and I'm good at. Oh, that person is really good at stakeholder management. Oh, yeah, he would fill that role really well. But the person who's co interviewing with me, they have different strengths as well. So they would be able to gauge that person quite differently. So I think that just helps. So, staging your interviews, make sure there's an exercise for them to do so that you can judge their capability there and then, and have someone to co interview with them who also has quite leadership, who also has had experience to do it. I think now I've got a hang of it, but inevitably one or twice you're going to make a wrong decision. But don't be harsh. It's a learning curve. But few things, as I mentioned, have worked for me are co-interviewing, giving them a work-based exercise to present to you, and also making sure they've got references as well. And also checking their references as well, what their previous employers have told about them, which usually isn't that useful, but that's something that I check anyways. Then we've got a question. Again, how do you decide someone is right for your team during a hiring stage that we've covered? Okay. I think one last question is the one last question that we've got is, sorry, I'm just going through the messages now. Making collaboration more efficient and on working with individual contributors, or how do you make collaborations more efficient within the team? So that is the question that has been asked. Collaboration is key for any business's success, because if your right hand doesn't talk to the left hand, your project is never going to work. And most of the time, they are shared goals as well. So, again, having a vision, clear set of priorities. Like in my experience, one of the directors who was managing 650 people, when he came in, he was like, these are the top three priorities, A, B, and C. I want you to work on them. I know I've got 6 units underneath me, which is data and analytics, HR, I've got marketing, I've got digital. So these three priorities are priorities for the entire business. You need to now define the projects that you're going to work that are underneath it. So I think that just helped to have a very healthy conversation, because everyone was contributing towards the same thing. And if we narrow it down to a smaller team, if you're a team of 10 to 6 to 10 people, knowing that direction, knowing what the key projects or the key initiatives that you need to work on are quite important as well. And then in the team meetings, everybody talks about their projects. And also within the team meeting, I also tend to do two things: something that is stopping them, and if someone can help them resolve it within the team. And more often or not, you would be surprised that people are so willing to help. In certain cases, they are just not aware. But when you ask this question in a team meeting, that what is your biggest hurdle, or what is stopping you from doing something, and is there someone who can help you resolve it? And when that's done at a team level, then the collaboration just happens, because then it's more about, oh, this is a problem, as a team we can solve it. Oh, for example, X is really good at this, and he's done it before, he'll be able to help, or he knows someone in that business and they might be able to solve it for you. So I think that just helps. And also what helps building better collaboration, as you said, transparency, communication skills, making sure that the team members are aware about what other people's projects are, and if they need help they can ask for it in team meetings as well. And also individual contributors, how to make them more effective. So I assume when you talk about individual contributors, you're meaning specialists who are one-man army. So when somebody's working with an individual contributor, I would suggest is to try and understand their working style. Make sure that they are in loop with your project updates. Make sure that they are accountable as well, and provide them regular updates, engage them, tell them the bigger picture, tell them what you are working on as well and how. So I think those are the few things that I would recommend. I think I've covered off all the questions now. And I would like to say, if you have any other questions, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, as well as email me at info@GSB Global. I do offer product consultancy and digital transformation consultancy, as well as data and innovations. These are the key specialities that I worked on. I have done over 8 transformational projects across my entire career, and they have been big projects, and I'm quite proud of them. So if anybody needs consultancies based on digital transformation, how to build good products that solve a customer problem or a business problem, as well as on data and how to build effective data teams, as well as how to structure within AI and machine learning, so I'd be more than happy to help. So please feel free to get in touch. And if you have any questions, just let me know. It has been a pleasure speaking with you guys. And just drop me a note. Tell me if there's any feedback as well, or if you want to know more about how to build a team and or anything related to digital transformation product build. I'll be more than happy to help. And I'd like to thank TAP Chief as well for giving me the opportunity to speaking with you guys. It's brilliant. Thank you so much. And also, there's a form as well that they would want you to fill. So please have a look at it, fill that form, which is a feedback form. It'll be quite crucial and important. So please do it. And I hope you've enjoyed this session and the talk. And if you have any questions, please send them my way. I'll be more than happy to answer. And You can connect with me on LinkedIn. My name is Sneha Bedi, as well as you can see my website, info@GSB Global, or email me at info@GSB Global. Perfect. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening.